Welcome to Drumheads podcast, where rhythm rules. Join hosts Jeff Kindy and Stacey Hood as we groove through gear reviews, jam with drumming legends, and drop the hottest tips and news. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just finding your beat, this is your backstage pass to all things percussion. Grab your sticks, hit subscribe, and let's go.
All right, hey everybody, this is Stacey Hood and joined with Jeff Kindy, and today we are joined by Rosie Gonce, who plays in a band called Dead Bars. You guys are out of Seattle, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay. I thought that's what Rachel from the PR place had told me. So let's just kind of jump into it. We kind of made some small talk and made fun of Jeff and his nickname. What got you into playing drums, Rosie?
Well, so when I was in junior high, I did eventually start marching, but in junior high, I was really actually into swing dancing, weird enough. So I was like, I had this group with my friends, and we would like perform, and we would go to clubs, like all ages clubs, and just dance for fun. And just swing dance was just like kind of big at the time. And my friends also had a swing band, and I would go a lot and go dance. And I was just like, I don't want to just be watching them. I want to be part of the band. So I decided, out of all the instruments, I thought drums looked the funnest. So I signed up for jazz band in my freshman year in high school.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I was in jazz band, and then my friend who was a drummer said, you should sign up for drumline because that really helps your chops. Right. And so I tried out for drumline, and I got second bass drum. So I started marching bass drum and kind of became a little obsessed with rudiments and drumming and getting my hands stronger, and quickly moved up to snare, and just really was into the drumline thing mostly. And I was never like a huge fan of jazz, but I stayed in the jazz band, but I was really more of a rocker. And then in college, I marched with the USC drumline.
Oh, wow.
And I marched quads also, which was what I actually always wanted to do over snare. But the drumline said, or the instructors were saying that they were worried that they would be too heavy for me. And I was like, of course, at the time, I was just like, you can't tell me what to do. Like, no, I'm doing this. And then I totally destroyed my back. And my doctor's like, yeah, you can't do this anymore. So I actually got like a doctor's order to not do drumline anymore. But at that point, I was more into playing in a real band around Hollywood and stuff. So it was kind of good timing anyways. But yeah, it was really drumline that really got me super into drums.
When you played snare, did you play match grip or traditional?
Traditional.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Do you still play that way sometimes, or?
I don't. No. Every now and then, just for fun, but not really. I don't have a need to. That's why I always wanted to play quads too, because it was like the match grip. It was more like a drum set, just more applicable to the drum set anyway.
Yeah, I'm a self-taught drummer, so I learned match grip, but I eventually learned, to play other ways, open-handed, like Simon Phillips and stuff like that. Just I would do it to test myself, to see if I could do it and actually keep a beat and stay on time.
It's good practice, and it's good for your brain too, to just like mix it up like that.
Yeah, and it was, for me, it was a matter of teaching myself independence, to make sure that I always had that, that independence when I got behind a kit, and I could play some weird time signature, if need to. Majority of stuff I was in was cover bands, but if it was some I wanted to add something in weird because I was getting bored back there playing a 4/4, I would switch it up, or that sort of thing. So Jeff is our drum instructor. So Jeff, I'm sure you have a ton of questions considering Rosie's background. So
then did you you were in jazz band. Did you study jazz as well?
Not very much. So in high school, what I wanted to do was take drum lessons, but my family just couldn't afford them. So I really just um, tried to just learn through the classes I was taking at school. And jazz band was just always kind of hard for me to grasp. And it was just like not music I listened to. So, I was, yeah, it was just more like I was like going to house shows and like, more like seeing punk bands and stuff. So that was kind of more of the stuff I was into. So
Right.
I did jazz band. But yeah, it's just not something I really liked playing, so I didn't really like naturally get better at it since I didn't enjoy it as much. But funny enough, I'm actually kind of right now learning jazz because I see how important it is. I know how important it is to your independence and all that. So I'm kind of like rediscovering it, and I've been practicing a lot of jazz beats and stuff. So
Have you discovered
yeah,
the
I think
book?
Do you read drum charts?
I do. Yeah, I can read
Okay.
drum charts. Yeah, I just got a job at the Seattle Drum School,
Oh, wow. Good for
instructing.
you.
Yeah, and thank you, instructing students. But lucky for me, the owner, Steve Smith, has also kind of taken me under his wing, and he's given me private lessons as well. So he's kind of mentoring me, and he's been playing for so long. He opened the school in 1986. He's played with like every famous drummer you can mention, and he's a great teacher. So he's really helping me with learning some of those things that I feel like I lost out on in like high school when some of my friends were all taking lessons and, really getting the foundation. And I was just kind of doing what I could with drumline and classes, and but now it feels really special and awesome to be kind of like getting this lessons I've got right now.
I just looked
Yeah.
up Steve. It looks like he's played with like Steve Morris from Dixie Dregs is one of the guys he's played with. So he definitely has the chops. He's played with Morris.
Yeah. And he's hosted so many clinics at his school that, he's had tons of just famous like session guys come and do clinics, and he's just a great teacher. And what he's really been teaching me is how to play a little more relaxed, actually, because with my drumline training, it was so tense. We're
Right.
gripping the stick so hard and we're using our wrist, and he's trying to really get me to embrace this concept of like a looser grip.
Mm-hmm.
Are you working on
And letting the Moeller technique, kind of, but not using quite as much arm. But definitely like the concept of letting the stick bounce more, kind of letting the stick and the drum head do the work, and kind of controlling it in a different way, so that there's less tension. He's like, you should not have calluses. You should not be sore. And so it's actually been so helpful with my punk drumming, because I can, like I told him, like, I'm not sweating as much as I used to playing. I'm just like embracing a more relaxed vibe while I play, and it's really helping, and it's not making me like rock out less or something. It's kind of, I'm seeing that I had like unnecessary tension in my playing just because we get all fast and then we like cramp up and we get tight, but then it's like, oh wait, if I loosen and just kind of let the stick and drum just resonate more instead of me holding the stick so hard, yeah, it's been really eye-opening to my playing and really cool. And
Do you still
yeah,
have
I'm just
problems
really
with your
happy.
back? Do you have problems with your back or anything
Not
still, or
yes and no. There's like times if if I'm touring a lot, or I'll get pretty sore, like around my neck, which is where I had problems with drumline. Because, with the quads, they go out so far.
Right.
And they're so heavy. And then you're using all these arm muscles. And my spine was actually starting to change shape.
Oh, no. Jeez.
Yeah. So I had to do a lot of stretches where I had to kind of stretch my neck out because it was just getting way too tight. So I have a pretty regular practice of stretching daily, whether I'm drumming or not.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty important. But yeah, I don't really have any problems, but I do kind of have a lot of maintenance. Like,
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
And
I'm here to tell you, it doesn't get any easier. That maintenance becomes like number one before you do anything.
Totally. Yeah.
Jeff,
stretching.
You look like you were going to ask a question. Did you have a question?
Oh, well, when she's talking about grip and things like that, it's all about economy of motion and
right.
Yep. And I always say, I'll tell my students, if you're trying to go faster, don't push. And that's just kind of a general rule with anything. Don't push. In fact, you want to let go. It's counterintuitive.
Yeah, it seems like.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Rosie. I'm sorry. No, we're losing.
Oh, that's okay. Steve Smith often says, like, you can't be. And so it's a huge part. It's like, just relax. Like, just relax your grip. And he's even saying, like, if you drop, that's a good thing. It means you have a loose grip. So during this practice, I've been dropping my sticks, and he's like,
hey, Rosie, can you check your connection?
Shoot.
Yeah, you're starting to cut out quite a bit.
Oh no. Yeah, sorry, we're not actually hooked up to the internet, so I think it's just like data. Is it any better out here?
Yeah, actually it is. Are you using the Seattle Wi-Fi? The city Wi-Fi?
No, we're in Oakland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought I saw Seattle somewhere.
Yeah, we're from Seattle, but we're on tour right now, actually.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Yeah, Rachel didn't tell me that. But you guys were actually out on the road. How's that been going?
Yep. It's been an adventure. So our van already broke down, but actually it's the only time it's ever happened.
Really?
Yeah. But we broke down yesterday, but luckily it was in Oakland already.
So you guys were able to get it fixed quickly?
No, it's in the shop, and we've been told it might not be ready for like a week. So we are renting a van. Yeah, we're renting a van and kind of trying to figure out what's going to happen. We'll find more later if it's an easy fix or a more complicated fix. But luckily, we have a friend who lives here in Oakland. He plays with Kepi Gooley. His name's Adam. He's a drummer, and he is also in the band world. And so he picked us up with his van. And so we were able to play the show. We've been staying at his place, and yeah, he had a suggestion for a van rental. So, the show must go on.
Yeah, that worked out great. Yeah, that's the worst feeling in the world, I think, is just going back to my tech days when, everything just happens at one time. Like everything breaks down and you're in the middle of nowhere, and, AAA is 2 hours away, and, all that sort of stuff.
Well, thankfully, we just drove through a huge snowstorm in Mount Shasta. So coming from Seattle to Oakland, it was snowing tons. It was kind of scary, but I'm just glad we didn't break down in the snow. So
yeah, seriously.
We're always trying to look at the positive spin on everything. So
yeah,
we've all been doing this a long time. So
well, with your touring, do you still stretch in the mornings or before a show, or is that part of your daily routine now?
Absolutely. Yeah. So like this morning, I woke up feeling like kind of some tingling in my fingers. So it definitely means I have to do some stretching. drink some water. Yeah, it's just all part of it.
What
Sometimes
about-
I get those.
I'm
Sometimes
sorry,
I get.
How about a pre-show routine? Do you have a warm up that you do and some stretches pre-show?
I do. I bring my drum pad to every show. I like to warm up at least 15 to 30 minutes before I play. I like being really warmed up. I mean, I do all the drumline stuff. I've been playing for
Right.
20 years now. Diddles and rolls and paradiddles and triplets and accents and hertas and all that stuff. Yeah, I totally get nice and warmed up before I play.
That's awesome. I love to hear stuff like that about touring drummers that are doing, they stick to the traditional days of a drum pad, playing a paradiddle.
Oh, yeah.
And really going through the rudiments and, because I think by the time you get on stage, it helps with your stick control.
Totally. And it.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well,
and it never. Damn
it. Let me just say this real quick.
Yeah.
I was going back to like what you were saying about stick control and how you hold your sticks and being looser and that sort of thing. I think with the advent of blast beats, I think that has really opened more people up. Instead of being a basher playing a 2B stick, they now play a smaller stick and you see the control where it's coming from versus a swinging arm, and it's wrist now. You see that with the, and I really think, as much as, and I'm not going to slam metal. I love metal. I grew up listening to metal. There's some bands I just do not like. But the drumming is freaking amazing.
Right.
They
Totally.
are just technicians, just total technicians.
All feet, but now they're getting their hands into it as well.
Right. I mean, I think that's why you're seeing people like yourself, Rosie, is people who are bringing pads out on the road now and they're doing the fundamentals or working on the fundamentals so that, they can stay touring longer, they can play without the fatigue and just feeling like they're all, when I first started playing, I fell into that really bad trap of having bad posture and, didn't have someone to tell me, you don't have to set your cymbals up that high. You don't have to set your toms at that angle. You don't have to do that with your snare, and I learned as I kept playing, what worked for me and what would allow me to play 2 sets a night, or play a really good heavy set, and I think going back to the practices and that sort of thing, and like what you went through. I'm not a traditional drummer by any means. Jeff is. I'm not. I'm totally self-taught. But I've learned so much being around guys like Jeff that I think it's really important. For any aspiring drummer to really look at everybody. Don't get stuck in one genre of music.
Totally. Yeah. And the cool thing about the drumline stuff is like once you learn it, I feel like it never leaves. Like even if I were to I broke my arm a couple years ago. It's like even though I'm like out of commission for whatever a few weeks, I come back and I can still play rolls and stuff. And I've noticed that drummers who haven't done drumline just can't do like some rolls and stuff quite as easily just because like the training was so intense and crammed in those 4 years of high school or whatever. It's just like so much work on your hands that I feel like I'll just always be able to play those things.
What are you using equipment wise nowadays, Rosie?
So I was lucky enough to be gifted a 1969 Rogers kit a few years back. Oh, wow. So that is what I play, which is incredible. It still sounds amazing. And then pretty much every birthday I ask for a new cymbal so I can justify spending, a nice chunk of change on some Zildjian Ks, which is my favorite. I have a Zildjian K hybrid ride crash, which I love. Because in a band I was in a few years ago, I actually only played a ride, no crash. So I specifically wanted like some kind of hybrid. And it's been a great cymbal I've had for so many years, and I love it. And I just got a Zildjian A custom crash, which is just, tried and true. Probably will crack in a year or so, but it's good while it lasts. And my snare is a Tama. I think it's called a Warlock. I've had it for a long time. It's chrome. At the time, I got it because I was in a band that was playing a lot of, DIY punk shows where the snare wasn't always mic'd. So I was like, I need it loud. I want something metal that's just like cuts through. And it's been a great snare. And before that, I had the Black Beauty snare.
Okay. Yeah.
And it got stolen. So
no.
I replaced it with this one that's been it's been good. But the next thing on my list is definitely a new snare. I want to kind of get into the snare world and get something maybe that's like made of wood, maybe vintage. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to justify buying new equipment when you don't actually need it.
Sure.
Oh, you always.
That we were just talking about that before you came on, about the aspect of buying new gear, and do I really want to do that, or is it just a ADHD urge for a dopamine rush to buy something?
Totally, yeah.
So no, I totally get that. So what do you like? What's your day to day like? Are you guys still warming up? Practicing to use your sound check for practice, sort of thing, like some bands do? Or?
So like on tour?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a really great touring life. We all get along so well. We make sure we eat, which has not always been a thing in touring bands.
Right.
We make sure we eat well, and we yes, we prefer to have sound checks. Like last night it didn't work out. But yeah, we always prefer to have sound checks. And our singer always warms up his vocals. I think me and him are usually the only ones that are like doing warm-ups. Because everyone kind of has their roles in the band. Our bassist is like merch guy, and the guitarists are, drinking beers at the bar. Like someone's got to do it.
Yeah, right. Someone's got to lead the rock and roll lifestyle.
Exactly. We got to pretend like we still know how to party.
Right.
Even though we're in the back stretching.
Taking a leave to get through the show.
Yeah.
Jeff, did you have a question? I know we had talked about the drum instruction thing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, I don't know. I was going to ask earlier too. How about the Jim Chapin book? Have you checked that out yet? The Advanced Techniques.
Yes, I was just talking to Steve about this the other day, because he has like all these stories about Jim Chapin because they were like friends, and he's like giving him a ride to the airport, and all these like little stories he chimes in with. So I haven't dug into it because Steve is actually writing his own book about drumming. So I've been slowly working my way through his book that's like in the process of being published. But he literally just pulled that book out like the other day, and we were talking about it, and he said that I think his first year of drumming or going to music school, he did the whole book in like 2 months, but now his approach is so different, a much slower approach. He's like, now I could spend like weeks on the first page, because it's all about just like making sure things sound good, like slow. He's huge on just playing slow, making sure things sound good, slow
and controlled.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure it's just a matter of time before I dig into that book.
Awesome.
I actually really like working out of books, and I've always school has always come, thankfully, pretty easy to me. So I really like having workbooks and guidance and all that stuff. So
it's progress too.
What'd you
What?
say?
It's
What'd
a
you say,
great
Jeff?
way to monitor your progress, because you could say, well, I started here and now I'm this
Yeah,
far along. And
exactly. And you're
always
like, oh, I'm starting it at 90 BPMs, and next week I'll be at 120. It's like, yeah, it's a great way to track your progress. Absolutely.
Yeah, total drum nerd thing too.
Yeah, totally. Yay, drum books.
Yeah.
So exciting.
so then
Um,
when you finish that, you have to go back through and do left hand on the ride cymbal.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
was that Bun E. Carlos from Cheap Trick that used to do that? He would
Yeah, I think
change
he
his
did that a
setup
lot.
back
Do it
between
all left.
right hand, left
Wow.
hand. Yeah, he would do that occasionally. He would switch out his kit and play left handed um, for some shows.
Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet. And it's interesting because I have you heard of the drummer Dave Elitch?
Mm-mm.
No, he's online and he's like gives lots of tips, and he used to drum for like Mars Volta, and he filled in for Weezer. He's big time. And he was addressing this very thing. And he was saying, like, why would you practice something that you're not gonna play? Like, you
Right.
should always be practicing how you're gonna play.
Yeah.
So he was like talking about an example. He's like, this guy played a year learning how to play left-handed when he's right-handed, and I just think he should have been spending that time, strengthening his right hand playing. So that's
Yeah.
something I think about. It's like, as a person who has, jobs, I have a kid, I have, such a full schedule. The practice time I have is like so valuable. Like, what am I going to practice during this 1 hour of practice? So for me, I probably wouldn't choose to do like a left hand leaded beat, because I'd want to,
Yeah.
work on my dead bars beat that, I want to get stronger. And that's
Right.
like immediately applicable to my playing. So I think if it was like I was in music school and I was practicing hours a day and I didn't have as many responsibilities, I'd probably do more things like that.
Yeah.
Vinny Colaiuta said a similar thing in an interview. They asked him why he never learned left foot clave, which was really popular in the 90s. And he said the exact same thing. He's like, well, I never use it, so I'm not going to spend time practicing it. And I was like, well,
Exactly. Yeah.
if that's Vinny saying that, then all right, it confirms that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's valid. And I think it's also valid that people want to do it to just like train their brain or like do something that's like a little different. And so, I mean, I see both arguments, but for me, yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I think in general, we're always trying to strengthen our left side, right? So whenever you're trying to strengthen your non-dominant hand, I think is also good. So
Try brushing your teeth with your left hand.
yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah, I mean,
hard.
that's your brush, right? If you're using
Yeah.
brushes, you
Right.
got to move your head back and forth. I mean, Jeff and I talked about this last time. I was actually born left-handed, and
Oh,
my grandfather switched me because it was considered in Ireland to be bad luck. So I
yeah,
got
that's
moved to
so
right hand.
crazy.
But yeah, but my twins are left-handed, but their little brother's right-handed. But anyway, so sometimes I box, not spar. I just train like I'm boxing, but I have to stop and think which way I'm going to do my stance. And when I was playing drums, my left kept wanting to kind of, when I would learn a fill, my left kind of wanted to go left first instead of following the
Hmm.
right around. So I had a
Right.
hard time trying to get that down, you know.
I'm
And
sure.
and to go back what you were saying, what Dave Ellich said, um, I remember reading an article on Carl Palmer years ago and Modern Drummer, and they were talking to him and they described the scene. He was sitting at the pool with a drum pad, and he was doing rudiments with just his left hand the whole time they were talking to him.
Wow.
And he told him, he said the reason he's doing that is because he felt like he was kind of losing control with his left, stick control.
Hmm.
So he was going back through the books, and kind of returning to his, fundamentals to get that back. which I thought was really fascinating that someone at that level, would do something so simple, you know.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I feel kind of like in the same boat a little because, like I said, these drumline rudiments are so ingrained. But now that I'm working with Steve Smith and he's teaching me this more relaxed grip, I'm actually kind of trying to like unlearn a little bit of what the drumline taught me of being so stiff and tight um, and so I am going through all the old rudiments and trying to do it with this more relaxed grip, and it's hard. I told him,
Yeah.
I said, I feel like I'm back in high school when I was like trying to make snare, like sitting in front of the TV with my drum pad for hours, just playing the same thing over and over again, stretching my arms, feeling the tiny muscles like that are, you're using in your
Yeah.
fingers or whatever.
When you started working with him, did you change where you hold the stick? Did that change as well?
No, not really. Not really where I held it. Just mostly how tight I was at the fulcrum.
Okay. Okay.
And that's pretty much it. Yeah. Just the grip. Like he often will grab my stick, and if he can't grab it out of my hand, that's too tight. But if he can quickly like pull it out of my hand, then that's
Interesting.
good.
What's
Well,
your thoughts
Morello
on
Yeah.
would
that, Jeff?
say if you could get a tone out of the stick when you're striking a pad, you can actually hear the stick vibrate. That
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally. Instead of clamping it down, like choking the stick. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I talked to a guy one time at a NAM show up in Nashville about that he considers every part of a drum set, including the sticks. And I think he may be getting it from Morello, but he said everything has a tone and it's its own instrument,
Yeah.
you know.
Right. Yeah.
So and he said the whole process of like recording, it includes that includes that the stick hitting the plastic of the drum head or the whatever it is, whatever kind of head you use. He said that mixed along with what the mic may pick up, the tone, like you're saying,
and
the
if you choke
Yeah.
the
vibrations.
stick, it'll actually choke the sound of the drum as well.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's and it's kind of subtle, right? Like you don't if you see like a rockin' drummer like playing and they're, really tight, you wouldn't exactly pick up on like, oh, those tones are a little,
Right.
stifled. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's really subtle and a huge thing Steve is like drilling into my head is like just play quieter, like try to play quieter because I've just like come in rocking and like after every show everyone's like you play so hard, it's so awesome, you hit those drums so hard. So that's been kind of like encouraged for me to hit hard. And so now with him he's like I want you to play like 70% quieter. And it's just making me control the stick more, listen to the tone I'm getting, just pay attention to everything.
Right.
Being slower, paying more attention to exactly where the beat falls in the metronome, So it really is kind of going back to basics for me
Yeah.
as well,
I had a buddy
which
who
I
was
love.
I had a buddy who was learning karate, and he was still a white belt. And one day they had the black belts come in, and he came back, and I said, "So did they teach you some advanced death moves?" And he said, "No, we did all basics."
Yeah.
So it seems like no matter how, or even I should say, the more advanced you get, the more it goes back to the basics.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Bruce Lee used to have a saying that he doesn't fear a man who has 1,000 kicks. He fears a man that practices one kick 1,000 times.
Oh my gosh, I have to share that with Steve. That's such a great
Yeah.
quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough. I had a friend that worked for a drum company. He used to give me passes up to Summer NAM all the time. And I've met so many drummers up there, Pearl artists and, DW artists, and talked to John Good and, all that sort of stuff. And this real simple thing that this guy told me about that Bruce Lee statement, it has stuck with me for years. Out of all the people I've met, out of all the people, I've talked to everybody, that you could imagine about drums. And that one simple thing has stuck with me so far. And it goes back to what, you guys were talking about with the basics. If you don't have the basics, you can't really go any further with it. You can't take your art any
Totally.
further. And if you go back and watch the old black and white footage of these jazz drummers where they do ghost notes, and it sounds like somebody's just breathing on the strands on the bottom of the snare, but they're getting it
Oh
from their
yeah.
sticks. You watch that sort of thing. I mean, it's so impressive to watch that.
It takes
And that
immense
goes back,
control.
yeah, and it goes
Yeah.
back to what we were talking about. Get where everything is part of your kit. That's your sound.
Yeah.
But that is
Right.
just we went to go see this singer a couple months ago, and new jazz singer, and her drummer was like that. They had, man, that kit sounded so good, and it was just a little small bop kit. Had two crashes,
Yeah.
riding a crash, but this kid, man, he was just, you could tell it was almost like somebody was just blowing on the snares. He
Yeah.
was to get a buzz roll out of it. I mean, it sounded so good, and it was so impressive to see. And
I
regardless of
love
what kind
that.
of music, yeah, and I mean, and regardless of the type of music you play, if you're a drummer and true to your art, you're going to recognize that takes talent. That takes some real
Totally.
talent to get there. So, well,
And
hey, let's
that's
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I
Well,
want to change the subject.
yeah, go ahead. No, it's
Well, I was
okay.
just going to say, tell us a little bit about the band. What's going on with the band?
Oh, the band. We're in
Yeah,
a really exciting part of our careers. We have a new record coming out in March. We just released a single called Give the Metalhead a Hug, which has been really fun. We have
I love
another
that
single. Yeah. And we have another single coming out in a couple weeks, and then the record coming out in March.
Is that called like Love Deadhead or something, or Love Deadhead? Love the Deadhead in your
Close.
life. Something.
That's good. Maybe no, it's called All Dead Bars Go to Heaven, and it's
I'm
coming out on
sensing a theme
Iodine.
here.
Yeah. It's coming out on Iodine Records. Yeah, you can if anyone's interested, you can find out more on deadbars.com. We have like a newsletter and all the info you need about our band. Of course, Instagram too is a great place to find out. Yeah, so we're gonna finish this tour in San Diego, and then we have a couple record release shows lined up in April that we haven't announced yet. And then we've got some touring in the works for this summer that is also not announced, but we're really excited. Going to tour with some good friends. And yeah, we're really excited to see what the year has in store for us, because, a lot of it is uncertain, especially when you're waiting for a record to come out. It's like we're waiting for this record, and then we're going to kind of see where it takes us. But we're really excited about it, really proud of it. And yeah, we're just, no matter what happens, what opportunities come, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, which is playing, writing, touring, just having a good time.
Breaking down.
Yeah. Hopefully without vans breaking down. And, we're not here to make like tons of money or anything. We just want to break even and have a good time and meet new people and hear other bands. We all love being on the road. We love traveling. We love meeting people and meeting new bands. We talk about music constantly. It's a great time. I could do this forever.
How did the recording process go for you guys? Was it easy to get into the studio, like a get in and out sort of thing? Was it quick, or did you guys have any issues with recording?
So that's a good question. So I actually joined this band about a year ago, almost like to the day. It was like a year ago, and they recorded a year ago as well. So they were in the studio right around the time that I was joining the band. So they had already practiced all the tracks with their other drummer. So the other drummer is actually on the recording. But I was like, I'm getting on this record. So I'm actually singing backups on a song just so I could get on that record. Yeah, I was like, I'm getting on this record. But yeah, so their old drummer is on the last record, but he funny enough, he was a fill-in. He was a fill-in drummer for about 10 years. So he was never an actual. He was never an actual committed member like I now am. So it was a really great kind of handoff. I actually went to one of their shows. Paul was their old drummer, and before their last song, I came up and played their last song with them,
Oh,
and it was
okay.
kind of like passing the torch. And then I
cool.
was like officially their drummer. So they had I was actually there for a lot of the recording process. I brought them burritos and, hung out.
Yeah.
They recorded with Evan Foster, who's in the Boss Martians, who we're on tour with right now. And it was a great recording experience. Yeah, it was just so great. They actually did 15 songs, and only 10 are going on the record. So hopefully we'll release those extra songs at some point. And yeah, I do say that they were very particular about their guitar tones and stuff, which is not my world. But I know that they spent a lot of time in the studio, more hours than what was planned, to just get the perfect tone that they wanted and get everything exactly how they wanted, even if it meant going over budget a little.
Okay.
So it was a great experience, and the final product was something everyone was really happy with.
That's cool.
And now we're on tour with the guy who recorded them, so I think everyone got along pretty well.
Has he come back to you guys live and go, "That's not what we recorded. That's not my tempo"?
No, he's just like no, he's great. He's just a hype man. He loves it. He's giving fist bumps to everyone. Last night was the first time he saw me play with them, and he was stoked. So yeah, the recording was great. I think we're gonna record with him again, actually. We haven't started working on a new record, but Dead Bars has these covers they put out every so often. They call it Dead Bars Jukebox, and we've done, they did Lodi and a few others. So we have some covers that we might record soon. And
that's cool.
Yeah,
it sounds like a fun gig.
It's really fun.
Give us your social as we wrap up here. Give us your social stuff, and I'll put some links up on the website afterwards when I release the episode and all that.
Okay, yeah.
Just go ahead and say them.
Yeah,
so tell us everything.
If anyone's interested in finding out more about myself, I'm on Instagram at Rosie Gonce. And then it's very easy to find Dead Bars there. Instagram at Dead Bars or deadbars.com. And I really only do Instagram. I don't do Facebook anymore. So Instagram is the place to go for myself. Yeah, and that's about it.
I just found you.
For socials. Yeah.
Looks like we have some mutuals.
Oh, good.
So, yeah. Jeff, you got anything in closing?
Nothing I can think of. I'm already following you on Instagram, though. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. It's so fun to talk nerdy drum talk with people who are just as excited about it as me.
Come back later in the year and let's check back in with you and
yeah, I'd love that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
How many of these have you guys done? 2.
You're number 2.
Okay.
You're
I saw that
first official guest.
That's amazing. Woo! Yeah. I saw that the Instagram page was kind of new, so I was like, ooh.
Yeah,
awesome.
I had I've run a couple other podcasts, but I had a music one that just didn't work out. And then Jeff and I became friends on Facebook, and I was during the swing movement back in the day. I was working with some labels, and I think we have some mutual friends and that sort of thing. So we kind of hit it off, and I started thinking about doing another podcast. So I asked Jeff to be a co-host, and because he can fill in on the drum knowledge that I don't have. Like I said, I'm self-taught.
Yeah.
I've been in cover bands mostly and worked as a tech, and I know enough to be dangerous on, that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm not into it as much as you guys are. So I wanted someone with that ability. on. So
Well, I love that because
Yeah.
I feel like I myself am somewhat self-taught as well. I feel like that.
yeah,
Yeah, you got the marching cred though.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
impressive. Makes me jealous because I wish I had done that instead of playing trombone. But here we
Well,
are.
and I wish I would have learned more jazz, you know. So
It's never too late.
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
all right.
Where are
Well,
you guys located, anyways?
Detroit area.
Detroit. Okay, cool. So next time we tour around there, you guys got to come to a show.
yeah, I'm in the Southeast actually. So
Oh, you are.
We're all
Yeah.
over the place.
yeah, I'm in the South.
Okay,
He's in the
well-
North. So
Well, we go all over the place. So whenever we're in
yeah,
a
I'll
town
watch out
near
for you
you,
guys. I mean,
well,
some friends here just opened a place that you guys would be at home playing. So you guys may get.
we're
them.
down. We're down to play anywhere.
Okay. I'll send
Yeah.
him your stuff. I'll send.
Cool.
Rachel sent me your press packet and stuff, so I'll send that over to him. See if maybe
That'd
we
be
can get stuff
great.
put down
Thank
here.
you.
So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, be glad to help out. All right,
Thanks.
this is it.
Okay,
We're gonna
guys.
call
Good
it
luck with
ends.
your van.
Yep,
Thank
that
you
was
so much.
Rosie Gonce from Dead Bars, Jeff Dinky Kinde, Stacy Hood. People call me Gordo, which is fat in Spanish, and that just has stuck. Whatever.
Just stuck.
Yeah,
Well, I'm little, you're big.
yeah. So anyway, that was it
Hey.
for this show. Thank you.
Okay.
Let's stay on just for a minute so we can finish the
Oh, yeah.
recording process, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me.